Hi guys, welcome to Bunny's Times. I don't seem to have. Doesn't seem to. Okay. I don't have any sound, guys. I'm not sure why I don't have any sound. Ask me about that as well. No, I need this. Oh, thanks, Caroline. Sorry. Yeah, that's good. Oh, well, thanks, guys. Sorry, it's the first time I've been on YouTube Reel. So what I've done, whoopsie, Ustream's just been a bit of a pest summer nights. And I thought I'd colour this one in. I haven't decided to use the water brush, but I've decided to pull out a few of these. These are vintage derwent watercolour pastels. They're just a little tiny bit softer than the ones you buy now, but they're still quite nice. So I've pulled up 3 purples, 3 greens, 3 oranges, 3 reds, so that I can have a light, medium and dark. So I'm going to start in this top corner here. And I thought the oranges may look nice. The reds, the 3 reds I got, they were for, we've got Geranium Lake, Crimson Lake B, and Geranium Lake B. So the D, B, and a B. B is bold and D is dense. So what I wanted to do is very quickly just try a toadstool. So the pale pink, I think I wanted the pale pink one on the top. And all I'm doing is scratching a little bit of colour, and then I'm going to use a damp brush. And I'll zoom in a second. I just want to see what works best. I do like working with a water brush. This derwent one is quite small. And all I want to do is, because these are very, very nice pastels, it's pure colour. It's almost pure pigment. They kind of melt together. I think I'm going to go for my favourite 4 paintbrushes for colour books and water pot. So dunk in the water pot. That water got a bit dirty earlier. I've got a 1 and a 2 Graduate Daler Rowney Rigger. I've had a 10-0 Artmaster Pearl Series 55, and I have a 2-0 Pro Art Masterstroke Series 64 half rigger. And what that gives me are 3 nice riggers and a tiny liner. And it gives me 3 paintbrushes. I can get to 3 different angles. Oh, thanks. Yeah, sorry, guys. I refreshed and my chat disappeared as well. So thank you for joining me. I think this is the second Ustream, but a bit blind because I'm not sure what I'm doing. So I have to kind of sort myself out a little bit. I thought I'd have a play with the pencils. So, and we're backwards as well, which of course confuses the hell out of me. So I've done a little bit in there, but it hasn't buckled and it's dry. But what I think I'm going to do is actually use these brushes. So when you see me, I'm dunking them into water and then I twist them. This is actually a makeup sponge. So I'm twisting them on a makeup sponge and that gives them barely damp. And you do that every time. It makes them barely damp, but it also makes them a lovely point as well. So the tiny one probably, I kind of pick the brushes to suit the size. So I think we'll go for number one. Number one looks quite nice. So dunk the brush and twist. So I'll get my 3 colours again. So you can do it 2 ways. You can put all the colour on. If you're going to leave the book and shut it, you need tracing paper or baking parchment because the colour will smudge, because this is a pastel and these are very soft, as you can see, really soft. Oh, hi, Caroline. Ink fully obsessed. Anybody else popping in? Thanks for stopping by, guys. It doesn't give everybody's name, so if you want to say hi, that would be brilliant. So I'm using Geranium Lake at the bottom of each, and I'm trying to leave the little white traditional dots. So you could do every colour white, or you could do each individual one. But I think I'll do each individual one purely because I'm a bit of a scatterbrain. And I'm likely to smudge. But of course, once you've touched it with water, it becomes, so that's our number one. So we're going to dunk in the water and then we're going to twist on a baby wipe. So we've got a damp brush and it's to a point and there's a lot more control and you can blend these to a beautiful soft watercolor. If you didn't have a little hair on the end, which I've got. I really do like these 4 brushes. They're not professional. They're professional, but they're not sable. They are synthetic. But I prefer that to the water brush. And I love these 3 sizes because they probably are enough for even the biggest kind of. So I've got this really nice effect. Now you can always go back in a bit later. And I used to use dark carmine at them to give them a bit of wow. But I'm just going to put a little bit of this pink on top. Apologise for the barking. It's feeding time at the zoo. And I would probably have thought that this Geranium Lake is a really nice colour. You could have done white, Geranium Lake, Crimson Lake, and then blended them together. So again, a dunk with the brush. I like little flat. Now that's filthy, that water, but I can't get up to get any more. But you want something that not you squishing the brush down, but you're just flattening it into the water and drawing it back. Now eventually this will get really wet and you won't need to wet it. You'll just want to just twist it over the top. And then just check that we're in frame. And we're in the new studio at the moment. So we're on natural light, which is wonderful in some times of the day and terrible in others. So apologies if the light's playing up. Now, if you see this, you see a little bit of red. So I am wasting a tiny bit. But again, we're making a pastel pencil and we're using very, very tiny amount. And you can push this about. The minute you touch a pastel pencil, it becomes a watercolor. Now, it technically isn't a watercolor, but it behaves like a watercolor. So that one's dried. And I suppose really I should have gone for a smaller brush, but obviously you can make a lot less mess. Now I originally did this with an ordinary set of pastels, but if you're into tiny spaces, it's difficult. So I'm actually just going to do all the little mushrooms with the white. And you can vary, because you're doing them separate, you can vary what you use. I did like that little bit of pink in there though. But you can play on light and you can do all sorts of other things. And the reason I like these is they don't put any pressure on your hands. You don't have to scribble. You're basically just passing that pencil over the top. And the pastel will just scratch onto that plate paper, waiting for you to blend it. I'm going to put that on that side. I don't keep crossing over. So these two mushrooms are different, and then these two toastals are different. So I'm just going to go pop to this side and finish these off. Oh, hi Melody, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Anybody else popping in? Stream was playing up today, so we've popped over here, and seeing as I am now allowed to stream live, it might be a permanent thing. So it is feeding time at the zoo, and our little bungle is mowing his little head off because he lives in here now. We've had to move the fur baby bunnies out because they were melting. Because we're having a bit of a heat wave in the UK. We don't normally, but we are, at the moment. I think I'm just going to put a little bit of this on every one. You can always use a white Posca pen or a white gel pen. I don't know if gel pens work, but we'll have a go. So again, that's a tiny space. I have another one here. So I'll try and look up at chat as best I can, guys. So apologies if I miss everybody's saying. If anybody's got any questions or requests, pop them in the captions below, because I shall be uploading this hopefully as per normal. So this is a live Ustream show. I think it's my only second Ustream. YouTube, I apologize. It's going to take me a while to get used to saying that. This is my second attempt at live streaming on YouTube. So thank you for joining me. My name's Heather, Bunny Designs. The reason for the logo was it was designed many years ago when I trained as a graphic designer in the early 70s, late 80s and early 70s. And the same designs I drew then I'm using for my Bible journal. So that's going to be a unique set of drawings, floral designs with its own lettering, which has taken me quite a while to use, but it is being used. I kind of like these little mushrooms. They're quite sweet, these. I've been putting off colouring mushrooms because I've got my own mushroom colour book that I'm trying to get out, and so I can't look at another mushroom normally. Oh, I missed a little one there, look. So I did like this geranium lake. And I think the cat is hungry. If anybody can hear him, apologies. It is a small zoo around here, so So I think we've done all those, and we've done all that. So we've got some stripy mushrooms, and we've got a plain mushroom. This is sepia. So if I just put a little stroke of sepia, and it really is that simple, and then manipulate that. And as I say, technically it's not a watercolor, but it reacts like a watercolor. So we have a lovely highlight. So thanks guys for stopping in. Hi Patricia, anybody else popping in? Hi Helen. This is new for me. I go fast quickly. So welcome to Bunny's Designs. Oh, thank you, Helen. Thank you. Yes, I'm going to try and do that melody. Now, hopefully, this is my first attempt at this. Hopefully, my camera is going to behave the same. Oh, it does. That's good. So I shall... I shall focus in a bit. So bear with me a second, guys. I'm just going to put you a little bit lower. And then move the pencils and the clatter. I'll just pop that on. Oh, every time I do that, it moves. So if I move that down to here, you can see our mushrooms. And we do have a little bit of daylight today. So hopefully that's okay, guys. Are we nicely? Perhaps maybe a little bit out. Perhaps that was better. Does that look slightly better, guys? Oh, hi, Darla. Yes, unfortunately, Ustream's chat was not being very good today. So I have one plain one there. So I'm going to use these here. So I should just move the camera. So apologies for the swapping of... if I just put this across there, we can see our mushrooms. So I've done that one. I've going to one, and I think I quite fancy some. I've got chocolate for the door. That's an orange earth. So I don't know if orange earth would like to be stripy with an olive. And again, you heard that little scratch. So I am working with a number 1 brush, but I think it should be fine. So again, as soon as you touch that colour, it becomes a watercolour. And it melts. It's very, very well behaved. And I really like this way of working because if you've got pulley hands, you can just literally stroke that pastel pencil across and you can still work quite well. So we have the stripy ones, and now we have this one. I'm not sure what to do with those. I found 4 bundles of pastels, all my pastels. What was that one? Oh, that's an umber. That would be quite nice. That looks like that spectrum orange. I do have one or two of each ones. I don't know why. I kind of acquired quite a few. I think I like the spectrum orange. So I think we could start pale and then go dark. And again, literally you are scratching. There's just one on the other side, so I'll just do that. You are scratching a little bit of colour. Bungles decided he would like to try me out for a cry. So you can have a full-on strong colour, or you can just have a smaller colour. So again, I'm using the number 1 graduate liner. And number 1 seems to kind of just be all right for almost everything. When we get a bit bigger, then we do get... oh, there's a bit of a frill on there, and I'll try to do that. So I do need to clean the brush because we've got that lovely pale peach, which will disappear. And then we can kind of just mend those. Apologies, it's feeding time at the zoo. You can see underneath that one, I think I might fancy that peach colour. And perhaps just on the edges of that one as well, I think. And again, I think underneath, I'm going to do them a paler colour. There aren't many that you can see underneath them. So just move that about. And although it's the same colour, it looks slightly different. Not sure why Bungle is still crying, bless him. I'll just do that other one on the other side really quickly. Oh, hi, Danny. Welcome to Bunny Designs. I hope I've set everything correctly. It's just the second time I've been on YouTube. But it does tend to be a bit temperamental. I think I like this green umber. So again, I'm just going to put, if you put a stroke of colour, and you could do this with a water-based or a near colour, anything that's water-based, just one line of colour. When you come to colour it, you've got like a shadow effect, because this side's got a little bit, but the main colour's on the other side. So by not doing hardly anything at all, you've got a lovely kind of shadowy effect. So we've got all that going on that side and pushing it across. And you could do that wonderfully with bark as well. It worked really well with trees. And really, you don't have to do anything else because you have a lovely highlight on there. Oops. Sorry, guys. I've got something on here that I'm not sure what it is. So we've got a really nice highlight on that one. So I'm going to just, what have we got here? We've got some green, and I did pick a couple of greens out. A hooker's green, and again, you could do the same with the hooker's green. You could just put a little bit in the middle. So we've got this, the big leaves there. And then the other thing we can do is put the lighter green on the outside. I've got that pencil wrap going on again. So start where the lightest, and then blend in the green. And if you take that below, you're going to have a lovely blended effect. And the beauty of this way, you can do this with derwent watercolor pencils. You can actually scratch in as many colors as you want. And that sounds like the Alfie. Alfie, come here, please. Alfie, come here. And thank you. Good boy. There's a good boy. You can sit here. Have you had your tea? But so Alfie's been a naughty boy because he's come in here to pinch the cat food, because that's his favourite thing.
You have to send him out.
Yeah, he may have to go out. Because,
go on, Alfie.
Good boy. Go on.
Go on.
He's not going to do as he's told, guys. Good boy, Alfie. Good boy, Alfie. Good boy, Alfie. So that looked quite nice. And I've got some bigger here. I think I like the olive green. Or I've got green olive here. Now, I know I used it for that, but I want to use it in a different way this time. So we've used Hooker's green. We have a pale green, May green, emerald green. And this is an olive green deep. This is quite a nice one. Now, with this vintage set, you'll probably find what the vintage set does is... Sorry, Alfie's back again. The vintage set there's 90 colours, but they've all got... There's 30 colours and they've all got 3 letters, D, F, and B. F is for faint, D is for dense, and I think B is for bold. So that's a bigger area. So I'm actually going with number 2 brush there because that's just slightly bigger. I'm tempted to put... That was olive green deep. Let me find olive green. And there's a forest green. Forest green might be quite nice just to put a little bit of even more shadow on those. And again, they are quite soft, these. So dampen brush, draw it backwards on a baby wipe or a face wipe. Now I've given up my baby wipes. I'm using I'm repurposing my face wipes. Not the ones that I'm putting makeup on, but ones when I've just got out the bath and I still use a face wipe before I put face cream on. And sometimes, obviously, there's nothing on there at all. So, I mean, there will be essence of my skin, but that's going to be fine for my paintbrushes. So I'm going to repurpose those because I don't make too much of a mess. Oh, sorry, Alfie's still here. Alfie, come here, please. Alfie, come here, please. Thank you. I didn't realise Alfie was still in here. Good boy, you sit there. As a good boy. And you can always go back in here later and make it darker if you want to. But you get a lovely effect from just that little bit of colour. And you can do this with any dry pencil that's water-based. So you can do this with ink tents. You have to be a little bit careful with ink tents, though, because they're an ink base. So they do tend to go through a thin page. They won't go through this page, but they may go through a thinner page. Whereas the derwent watercolour pencils and these pastels are very, very soft. And it's the binder. So the binder is very caring to... and although it looks like we're scrubbing, we're just gently blending. We're not scrubbing with a rough, hard brush. And again, that's what the riggers do. All the bend is in the brush, not in your fingers. So it's a very nice way to work. Just having trouble with the boy. So we haven't done very much to this corner, but it looks quite nice. So I'll just do a little bit. So we've got a bit of colour on there. I think perhaps it would be nice to go in there with some darker colours a bit later. There seems to be some dots and things, but I want to just I'll just go to this side very carefully, and then you can see the difference. So again, I forget what I used. I think I used Hooker's green. So sometimes it's a good idea to do all the scratching first. You just have to have a little bit of tracing paper with you, because you can smudge this really easily, because it is. So a little bit up there. Once you've activated it with water, though, although it technically isn't a watercolor, it reacts like a watercolor, and it's blended and it's done. So the olive green was the pale one. And I think I had the May green on the other one. And sometimes using really, really nice pale colours, it's almost like a pastel, but it's not, if that makes any sense. And I've deliberately left those little tops because they'll be paler. Are you being a bad puppy? I don't think we have Suzanne with us, do we? We have Suzanne with us because Alfie's been a bad puppy. So again, I'm going to get the number 2 brush, because again these are a little bit bigger. Oops, wrong way. There goes. To get my reversing head on. And I haven't used my for a long time. I didn't put any different colours in there, so, but I actually quite like that. It's a paler on the top. Sometimes it's nice to use the same colour, because the leaf is technically the same colour, it's just different amounts of light hitting it. So you wouldn't have 2 different colours of a leaf. Oh, sorry, he's just wiped his wet nose on my knee. Anything off-putting than an Alfie. You're not going, you've got to be a good boy. Just got to remember not to be too wet, just the damp brush. But as long as you put it back onto a baby wipe or a damp, a tissue, toilet tissue and kitchen roll wouldn't do, because it disintegrates very quickly. And you really don't want that to happen. You want to be able to see that. So I like these lovely soft colours. I mean, we can get darker colours out, but I actually quite like that. So let me see if I can. Let's see. Oh wait. So I'm going to go with this smaller brush, the number 1 rigger, because I've just got that little toadstool to do. So we do the peach first, and then manipulate the other colours. And again, if you're doing this with derwent watercolour pencils, they will just melt just the same, because they're just so well pigmented. They just really like to behave themselves. And I just wanted the darker, it's the green umber that I used. And I think I used it on this one as well. Now, I don't sharpen mine because I don't see the point of wasting it. But if you do want to sharpen it, you can keep the dust and you can add water to it, and it'll become a watercolor. I say technically it's not a watercolor, but it will reconstitute itself and you can color with it. So technically it isn't a watercolor. So again, we've got that lovely natural kind of shadow, and if you wanted to put that under there, you could do as well. And I think we had that peach on that one. You do need to try and not put pastel on when it's wet, because it doesn't really like that. And so we'll do the peach one first. And there is a video on this. I think I did a cat page. There was a cat with a little city on its back. And I think that one's in Daydreams, I think. And that's quite nice. That's a quite nice way to work as well. Again, I think we're just going to have a bit of this same peachness underneath. So this time we can do this. We can go under here and create that shadow and highlight. And because we have this little bit of dark, we can mix it with this, and it will just tone that down a bit. So we've found, where's the peach gone? Just mix that onto there then. If you have a really tiny area to do, you want the 10-0 liner. As soon as I let go of him, he gets up. And what you can do is just pick a little bit of colour up and stroke that on if you want to. That's another way to do it. If it's such a tiny space and you don't want to sharpen your pencils, that works quite well. So we can push that across, and then we can I think that's the doorway, isn't it? You want me to get cross with you, Alfie? So that looks quite pretty. And it's all now. I think I've done it all. I think it's all. Oh, maybe I haven't. Maybe I haven't done these. Now, it's never going to set like a watercolour because it doesn't have the gum arabic in it, which is what you add to pigment to make it into a watercolour, but it reacts like a watercolour. I'm going to get very cross with you, Alfie, if you don't sit still. Oh, thank you, Dara. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? I just see if I can just. I think that's the furthest I can go. So we have that. We have that side. That side. So I think I might do the door next. So move those very slightly. Oh, I might do this next. I thought the flowers would be. I think the flowers would be peach. I think. I just have found another little, and again, sometimes you do this, you find an odd one that you've missed. The rule is always do the palest first and then mix the darkest one in, and then I think I wanted to do those purple. I think I wanted the peach and orange. I think I wanted. So we've got Spectrum. We have Orange Earth, and I have Spectrum Orange D. Oh, wait a minute. Spectrum Orange B and D are different. B and the F. So Spectrum Orange F. And I didn't think I had all these. This is why when I saw that. When I saw, see, that's Orange Earth Dense. So we've got 2 spectrums and 2 Orange Earths. And we should have 3. I want an F. That's that one. No, it may not be the full set here. So the faint ones are the paler ones. So actually, I think I like those 3. And again, that's the rule of 3. So we've got a darker, medium, and a light. Now, you could go for a white underneath, especially with the pastel, or you could put a pink under. You could put all sorts under. I'm just going to do that actual bit there. And then the next bit is the next darkest. I probably will go over with a white pen, those little dots, and then right in the center. And I'm probably going to do these pale yellow, I think, the little stamens in the middle. I think you can either do them a darker colour or a lighter colour. So I've scratched all that colour in there. And then using the number 2 brush, because it's quite big, is that very faintly just mixing that colour into there, mixing that colour into there, and that into there. And it's always a good idea to start again. Push that colour out, so you're going to get a lovely soft highlight, and then we kind of get into that stronger colour And then eventually you'll end up with this really rich orange colour, which we can then blend out a bit. Now, riggers tend to have their own minds, but that's fine. I have the little pushy motion that I push it about where I want it. And it normally does as it's told. I'm not going to bother going around these little dots, because these little circles, because chances are I'll make a pig's ear of it. But I do want to clean the brush, because every time you go back into pale, you really need to be a clean brush, and then activate that pale and then go in that darker. And then, of course, you don't have to get the colour into there, you just have to get it near it, and the brush will kind of push it around and make it a lot neater. So again, we start on the outside, bring that colour in a bit. Try not to touch that third colour, just stay on that second colour, and then go in with that third colour. Now, I have got the number 2 brush. I could have done with a smaller one, but it's given me a lovely little watercolour effect. And the last petal, is just getting into that little section there. So I now have a really pretty, oopsie, a really pretty. You are not going to chase the cat. No. I had those 3 colours. Those 3 colours I did. I had those 3 colours. Just going to pop these to one side. Again, move this one this way. So this is the palest. So again, I'm just going to put that on the little folds. Oh, we've got some sunshine, some last minute sunshine. We've had a little bit of cloud today. So if you put in the middle, when you push that up, you're going to have a highlight. So if this is your colour, oh, it's got escaped. And then the dark colour in there. And then, of course, we need our number 2 rigger brush. Outside first, and then we push that colour up to have that lovely watercolour effect. Push that round, and then blend in that dark orange there. So you can have an even nicer highlight effect if you want. So you can push that round, bit of colour under there. It's always nice to have colour under there because it makes the highlight look lighter. Alfie, stop it now, please. Come on, Alfie.
Alfie, come on.
I didn't realise you'd left him in his vest. Oh, vest.
Okay.
It's in that eye, I think. Right. Oh, we've got some more sun. So that little bit there, and then push that up there. This brush is a little bit too wet, but different colour books kind of lend yourself to that. And why that is now is because my little sponge is full of water and I keep dunking it. So really, after a while, you have to squeeze the sponge out, and then that gives you that softer brush again. But this page can take it. Some colour books are a little bit stronger than others, and we're not doing too much messing about. You wouldn't want to go around again because that would make a hole. You've just done enough now, and then you have to leave it. Oh, these pencils are the vintage set of the derwent pencils. So they're vintage. And that's why they've got the D and the B on. So you had 90 colours. You had 30 colours, but you had 3 different tones for every colour. So you had 90 pencils. And what they did away with that, and they made 72 derwent pastel pencils. And most of these colours are in the in the new set. It's just, I think, I like these because they're very, very, very soft. The derwent pastel pencils now are a little bit hard, just a tip, and they're a little bit harder. So that's all gone now. That's all gone into pastel now, into watercolour. So if I move those and do that section next. So I have done this with with the modern derwent pencils. They're actually, I don't know where they are at the moment. Oh, I do know, yes, because I didn't bring them in here because it gets very hot. They're not technically, they're not in here yet, but there are a couple of videos that I've used those. And I've done a comparison, and basically these are just a little bit softer, which I like. The other ones are just a little bit grittier because obviously these, if you look at them, they'll smudge. And so artists have said to Derwent probably 20 years ago, look, can we not have them like that? Can we have them a bit stronger, please? And so Derwent have changed the binder. So, but apart from that, the colours, you can almost match up nearly every colour. They have 72, obviously. So, but some of these are very similar in colour ends. So these two look almost identical. Oh, and that's because they are. Yes, those two look almost identical. There's very little. Oops, sorry, trying to get out of my light. There's very little in it, and yet one's a bold earth and the other one's spectrum orange. So there's very little in it. So I think that's again what they did. The other colours are very, very near. Mixed all my colours up now. So I had that pale one, and I had that one, and I had that one. You see, burnt sienna and orange earth are very similar as well. I think that's the same flower. So again, I'm just going to scratch over there. So I hope the sunlight isn't doing too much. And again, this is going to be dark. And then just a little bit scratched up there. So you can scratch up and down, you can scratch round and round. It's the brush that does the magic, really. So I've got the windows open because it's very warm in here, so you can hear. I think there's some pigeons flying about, and there's been the little birds on the bird table. So, and Alfie's been his usual pest. Bless him. He's doing very well. He's just getting used to Bungle. He doesn't bother the other two cats, but of course Bungle's new, and being the new kid on the block, he decides that he wants to kind of tease him a bit. So he wore his name out yesterday. So thanks for stopping by, guys. This is a live YouTube video. Yay! A live YouTube stream. Sorry, a live YouTube stream. Gosh, I can't get my teeth around that one yet. And apologies if everybody went over to Ustream, but the I think it's better because it records in HD, so I think it's just a whole better system. So, this might be a new thing. If you like this one, prefer this one, let me know. Because Ustream's playing a bit baddies at the moment. They're not playing goodies. Thank you. He's brought me a cup of tea, bless him. I think I might want to do some kind of really bold little things. Oh my goodness me. So you can scratch a bit of colour in, or we can touch the end and paint the colour in. It's probably stronger. To scratch the colour if you want a stronger colour. And if you probably do about 6, you probably end up with the colour on the end of your pencil anyway. What you don't really want to do is touch one that's already wet, because pastels don't like it and pages don't like it. So that's the only thing you've got to be a bit careful of. I think I like the darker ones. I think they look kind of nice. Stand out a bit more. And slowly pull that one down so that I can do the stamens on this one. So, and you don't need to get right to the edge, because that's what the paintbrush does. The paintbrush will push it all down. All we need to do is just get a little bit of that colour on. And if you want the watercolour effect, you need the rigger, and you need just the colour at the bottom. But I want these solid little colours. I like the fact that these are kind of really strong colours. Then I've just realised I've left this one undone. Now, the only thing you need to do is you do need to kind of, it's a bit like the ink tens. You do need to have a good ratio of dampness to pencil. So if you just have the tiniest flick, like here, some of that's not set. And that happens with the ink tens as well. So because it's dried, I can go over it. But you do need to make sure it's all had a good amount of water to it, because it won't turn it into a water-based medium. It'll still be a pastel. And I've probably got all that. These are fine. They're all fine. It's just the odd dark area that you haven't got. So that's the only thing you've got to be careful with. You see there's a bit of red on there because somewhere in there so maybe you better not put in the whole amount of colour in. Because we don't want it to over wet it, but you've got to activate all the little particles, the dust particles, because it's still technically a pastel until it's saturated, and then it melts to the page, because it's a pastel first and a watercolor second. And again, it's not a watercolor, but it reacts like a watercolor when it's activated with water. So most of it is set, but if you get any dark areas, there might be a little bit. So again, because that's been in sun. And you can tell straight away because it's chalky, so you can tell if you've missed any. Now that's dried, that should be fine, that one. So hopefully by next week I shall have some curtains up, so we can have. I do like that one. I think that's really pretty. That one. I think it's got some nice watercolors in it. Oh, hi Robin. Thanks for popping in. Anybody else? Hi Essie. Anybody else popping in? Welcome to Bunny's Designs. We've got evening sun here, which is unusual for us. And now the sun's gone in. That might look a little bit better. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a swirl on there. Quite bright colours. But if I show you the pens, you can see I've got a watercolour effect. Beg your pardon, peerless. I have a watercolour effect on this one, but this is softer. This is a lot softer because it's a pastel. And by nature, even though they are strong colours. So I did pick chocolate. There are 3 tones. There's chocolate B for bold. In fact, I've just found a terracotta actually, which would be quite nice. And I'm finding a lot of chocolates, but not a chocolate. That I want. Chocolate F for faint. So you can see different colours. So now I need a D for dense. So it's not quite as the sepia D. Let me have a look for my chocolate. So they've kind of made that a little bit easier for everybody with these colour changes. And because we had 72 of the other ones, we've made 72 of these. And this is an odd set. This is why these were just in the drawer, because it's an odd set. It isn't a full set, so there are some missing. That's why they were just, and some have got the very old full length, and some have got the half dip. These are a bit younger than these. These are very old, and that's why they're cracking. But I think I bought them when the girls were little, and they've just had their 20th and 18th birthday. So yeah, they've done quite well. They've been tucked away because I worked for a lot of years, and not in the art sector. So yep, I seem to have every colour but the other chocolate, but never mind. I've got 2 tones of chocolate. but then there's a kind of a medium brown there called umber. So I'm happy with that. Now mine are in the other room. Oh, chocolate D, found it. There we go. So we've got F for faint, D for dense, or D for dark, and B for bold. So they're all three chocolate colors. And I kind of like that for the door. So, but I'm going to do it in sections because again, it's a paper. It isn't watercolor. It isn't pastel. And again, I do like to do a bit of pastel work in my Harry Potter books for my to get kind of a photorealism. But remember, this is paper, very flat, shiny paper, and these are pastel pencils designed to use with a tooth. So we don't have the luxury of a tooth. So what we have to do is we just have to allow one layer. Now, if we were blending this, I'd probably put a little bit more. But normally we get one colour. But if you put three next to each other, that's what I usually do. There is a Hagrid page which is blended with a blending tool for pastels. But just at this minute, I can't really do that. I love it, but I can't. So where the actual dark line is, just following with the dark, bold chocolate. So you could blend this with a blending tool and you would have a beautiful, beautiful effect, but it wouldn't be set. So then what you do is very, very gently with a barely damp brush, stroke the whole page once you've blended it. So there's 2 or 3 different ways you can use these in colour books. And for goodness sake, don't fix them with fixative because it's a paper, it will disintegrate. So we could have blended that, but what we're going to do is we're going to blend it with a damp brush. And what you're doing here, you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So do the pale one and then bring in the next one and then end with the darkest one. And remember try not to do it too much. Right, the palest one. And then bring in the dark one. And then blend in that darkest one right to there. And we can put a shadow in later. We get 1 hit with this, but we can also just put a little bit of a shadow in a bit later. So and activating that one in there. So again, there is a Harry Potter set of videos. I think there's about 8 to 10 videos, and most of them are an hour long. 2 of them are 2 hours long. And it's a picture of Hagrid outside his cottage. But I wanted to try and see if I could do a better job with pastels, but they are blended first with a tool, with a blending tool. But in the bricks, I think there's 16 colours next to each other to make the bricks. And then there's some green put in there where it's kind of a bit mouldy and a bit damp. Now this is buckled a little bit, but it's fine. It is what it is. But we're going to get some nice effects on here. And then when you feel that that's getting a bit dry, start again. Palest first, and then really, really emphasize those areas that are darker. And you do have to remember that these riggers do wonderful things, but just sometimes they have a bit of a mind of their own. And this is a little bit wetter than I'd like to work, but it seems to be doing fine. So we're ending up with quite an old wooden door. So I'm not sure if, oops, that goes into caps, I'm not sure. So thanks guys for stopping by. It's been a really beautiful day here in the UK because we've had some pretty nasty weather over the last month or so. It's been up and down like a yo-yo. Then we had a mini heat wave, and then it went away and came chilly again, and now it's come back again. So we tend to have that in the UK. We get everybody's messy weather we get. So and again, it's still a nice quiet way to work. Yeah, we've got one or two pencils rattling around, but I kind of like the fact that, you know, you again, I have scratched these colours in beforehand. And but you do have to put, you have to remember to put now, kids, this is getting very wet now, so what we need to do is to squeeze it out, because this is why I went off the sponge and I went back to the baby wipes, but I think I'm doing okay with those. Oh, I think we have a Betsy out. Betsy's still shy. She's still traumatized. We don't know where she came from, what happened, but she's still traumatized, is our Betsy Doodles. But she did strut her stuff into the lounge before she realized I was in there. So I know that she does potter about and have a look about. So that's quite good. Again, sometimes you've got to realize that this is a rigger and it will do what it wants. But of course, the nicest thing about that is we have a mottled old door, and that's what mottled old doors do. they have bigger cracks in, smaller cracks. So I was thinking about maybe putting a golden keyhole there. I haven't quite decided yet. Again, we can have a nicer and we can definitely pick up that dark because we have I think most of this is going to be dark, so we could probably put some of that darker chocolate in that little knot. And we do have a bit down there as well, so I'm going to use some of that down here. One thing you do want to, if you can, is try to keep within the lines. And try to keep in the direction of wood if you can, because it's always that bit nicer to show that wood is growing that way and not sideways. And again, with a rigger, sometimes that's a little bit difficult because by nature they want to do their own thing. So I picked up some of this really dark and I want to just put it there. Oh, bye, Melody. Have a good sleep. So I haven't done this for quite a long time, actually, but I just thought I would have a look at that. I think I'm going to do this quite dark as well. Then it would look kind of, but you just want one thin scratch, nothing too heavy, and it'll make that door pop then. And I'm pretty sure we're going to have these black. So again, we could, in fact, black would have been good to put with this. So I can't do it on there because I've already wet that, so I'll have to wait. But if it's still dry, you can put colour over colour if you want. So again, you can really see that's going to be, and I can maneuver that. And if you need to turn your page, then it's good to turn your page. And really anything to keep that colour in there. in that last bit there. Of course, that mushroom's going to pop out as well. And then we've picked up enough black to go over this under the door frame. And if we go down this side here, by the time we get to the bottom, because it's almost like pure pigment, we're going to have a very dark. Very dark. So let's have a look, guys. Let's pan out a bit. Oops. So that's what we've done so far. We've been about an hour. We've been an hour and 22 minutes. So again, an hour and a half, 2 hours to do a page. That's almost done. There will be some darker bits here, look, that need going over again because I did use a lot of colour. And again, you've got to remember, it's not a watercolour. It's a pastel. But of course, you can pick it up and then move it about. And if you pick it up from here, you can create a few shadows. And the keyhole might be dark. I think that might be either black, probably grey, actually. I don't think it could be black. That's a brown ochre. I think there was 4 greys in this set. Let's see if I can find a grey. That looks like a grey. That's an umber. Oh, that's a grey. We've got 2 French greys. D, that's French grey. French grey F, and oh, there's a white. He's white. So I think what we could do is, if we just put a little bit of white just on the tops, on the top, just as a highlight, it will show that this is in relief. So it's that kind of wrought iron. And I would have liked a gold, but we have that one. I think I remember this one being a kind of a warm grey. So we wanted a colder grey, but never mind, it's fine. Again, you can push that about. And I'm going to use black for the shadow, so I only want that grey there. And it'll move about. And then we did have the black just to go under there, just to give that a little bit of, well, you know what it is, and you're not going to forget it's technically black. So even if you just try a little bit of difference, what you're doing is you're just making it look like it's a metal that's shining a little bit. So even like that, it looks fine. Even like that. But of course, once we start, and I will use the number 1 brush for this one. So again, start with a white, and you know where you've been because the black lines turn again. So unfortunately, you do, so you do have to kind of mix the greys up, but actually it's doing quite well. Then when it hits that black, and I did lose that highlight. You really need to clean your brushes. So when you keep that white highlight, which is always nice when that black comes back around. And then we know that that's going to be black. And of course, you realize that you've missed bits. So we've got a little bit of design on there. So thanks guys for popping in. They say it there, impromptu YouTube live. I don't know if you find the chats better, guys, or is it worse? I know it used to be bad, but I've heard some better reports from it. So and I think it may be easier to upload. So I think I may change to Ustream, to YouTube, if nobody has any, because it seems to be every week there's something with YouTube. Apologies. It seems every week there's something with YouTube, with Ustream, and oh, I quite like that. It's turned out slightly better than I thought it would. I do want a little bit of that dark chocolate on that, but perhaps I put too much last time. And I think I was tempted to do this golden. I think I was tempted to do it gold. Remember what I said about not going over a damp page. Oh. I went over a damp page. I think it's because it's a little bit more ornate than. So now we need to find the key. So I think it's a little bit ornate. I'll pull the video out. 2 seconds. And then we can see what it looks like. Oops. So that's the page. So I kind of like it. It's just a little bit, it needs to just go over it again. But again, I'm going to let it dry and then it won't buckle. And considering the fact that nothing's gone through, a little bit different to the other colour things that I use. But really nice, easy way to work. If you've got poorly hands and you can't grip a pencil, you can stroke colour in. And got some really nice watercolour effects by just missing areas. So I kind of like working like that. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a pleasant afternoon. And I hope to see you soon on YouTube live. Know what you think about making it a regular occurrence. Hopefully, when I get used to the camera, it might be a bit better. So thanks for watching. It was a bit of a disaster to start with. So I've now got pencils everywhere. My other pencils are actually in a lovely pencil box. But I just found these and thought, oh, I'll just have a bit of a play. And I'd forgotten just how nice they are because they're really nice to use. And they're very easy. There's no scratching, there's no rubbing. They're just some nice colours. And hopefully we'll have some curtains on the ceiling because it's a very sunny room. And if I pull that down there and I turn that very carefully, you should see outside. Oops, sorry, outside. So that's my garden, my scruffy garden, but and that's the desk. So thanks for watching, guys. Take care.